Hey there, toy collector friends and Star Trek fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the time-traveling toy collector, and this is the Star Trek Lower Decks Shuttlecraft Yosemite from the animated Star Trek series, as I mentioned, Lower Decks. Very excited to get this in hand. It's a previously unreleased Eaglemoss and Hero Collector model. Before we get into the ins and outs of it, firstly, apologies for the strange setting. I'm actually away for the weekend, but I had a few things turn up unexpectedly just before I left, and I actually brought them with me to try and see if I could get them out of the box and give you a nice little view before too much time elapsed, especially when it's something nice and previously unseen like the Yosemite. So I'm just going to rotate it around. As I'm doing that, to say so, hopefully the backdrop won't be too distracting. I've brought a bit of a lighting rig with me, threw it in the car, you know how it goes. But I just wanted to capture this and another couple of items as well. It looks like it's going to be a busy rest of the month with stuff arriving. First of all though, thanks for tuning in, and if you're not currently subscribing to the channel, please do, because there's some other unreleased stuff that's coming in soon, as well as some very recently released stuff, both in terms of Star Trek, Star Wars, Transformers and other bits and pieces. So please, before we go too far into the video, do drop a like to the channel, and also, if you wouldn't mind, I'd really appreciate a subscribe as well. To be fair, it doesn't cost you anything. I'm not after your cash. I haven't got a Patreon or anything like that. It just really helps support the channel if you would subscribe, and that way you won't miss a future video on any of your favourite sort of toy lines or collectible lines. It means a huge amount to me, and as I say, it's a small click for you, but a gigantic leap forward for the channel, so it's very much appreciated. I'll pause for breath whilst you click on those two buttons now. Thank you very much. If you have already subscribed, please don't click subscribe, because then you'll unsubscribe, but I'll have to ask you to subscribe all over again, and it gets some sort of causal temporal loop, and we don't like those, do we? So once you're subscribed, say subscribed, and it's fantastic. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Here we have the Yosemite. It is, as I mentioned already, one of the very few ships that made it into 3D format from the animated Lower Deck series. If you haven't watched it, I heartily recommend it. I know some people might think it's a little bit childish. It really isn't. It's actually absolutely not childish, and I would definitely recommend watching it. And if you ever need a bit more of an insight into how it interlinks with the rest of the Star Trek universe, maybe watch Trek Central's Ups and Downs YouTube series. You'll probably find that really useful, and I personally absolutely adore it, and Sean who fronts most of that. Anyway, enough sideways plugging. Back to the Yosemite. This is a beautiful model, and again, there's a lot of stick that Eaglemoss took in the past around some of the paint apps and the colorations, and how screen accurate or not they were, and I think that's fair. Again, I do apologise for the slightly homemade setup that you're seeing here, but it is purely due to the circumstances I find myself in, busy recording this on a Friday night in a hotel room. But this is a beautiful rendition of the Yosemite as it appears in Lower Decks, one of the shuttles from the USS Cerritos. I do have a niggle, which I'm going to share with you immediately, and the niggle is the base unit. So the base unit here, as you can see, it says all the relevant things: Yosemite shuttlecraft, blah blah blah. Usually there's an element of, we can see how this fits in, but it's just flat, so I'm assuming it just sits like this. But for all that other people complain about the some of the paint apps, etc., my personal complaint is about the consistency of what their base units are like in terms of the support stands. Often they're quite obvious as to how you would attach them, but they don't always hold well, which makes them a bit of a risk depending where the centre of gravity is. But Yeah, this one in particular. I mean, to be fair, the ship is quite squat, so it does sit on there nicely. But I like to have that sense of, oh, if I put it there and it's just clicked into place. There's none of that there. You can spin this around on the base, and it makes no difference whatsoever. Anyway, let's get this up and in hand so we can take a bit more of a closer look at it. We can see we've got your... To be fair, it's quite... There is a sense in here that there might be a bit of die cast in there. And one of the things I particularly love about the models of the animated stuff is that they've got this lovely line illustration. So it does almost look drawn, which I think is a nice touch. And if you get quite close, you can almost see, certainly here on the front panels here, it's not quite lined up quite as much as perhaps I would like it to be, but I'm being very nitpicky. And again, from a distance, you don't really see that. You don't really see that. You can see that lovely sort of gold stripe around there. Again, the paneling is pulled out much like it is in the animation on the reverse side. We've got the nacelles, which are reminiscent in and of themselves of the Cerritos. We've got the impulse engines, and again the nacelles do have their own translucent plastic here. And is that translucent? It's not translucent plastic, but there is a separate piece of inserted plastic there for the bussard collectors on the nacelles there. You've got the intake valves there on the side, along with the NCC 77567 registration. The canopy is blacked out, which is, fair enough. It's everything about this is just fun. It's actually Star Trek starships with fun. And the back is, again, it's nicely pulled out with the grey on the rear panelling there. There is some, I think you can see it in the light there. Yeah, you can see that the detailing does pull out the top and the bottom sections there. It isn't as hefty as, say, the XL Runabout. But if you put it next to the XL Runabout, obviously I can't because, as I say, I'm in a hotel room. It would hold its own. I would be very confident to say it would hold its own, and it makes for some very nice angles. As ever, I'll include some photos. I brought my star cloth with me because consummate professional. So I will put that out for some photos before I post it, which I'll include at the back end of the video. But whatever angle you're looking at this from, it's a really, really lovely little model ship, and I think it'll lend itself very nicely to some photography. I honestly do. So this I managed to acquire from Master Replicas. It does come, bear with me 2 seconds, it does come in its lower decks box. There is no magazine because, of course, the history of Eaglemoss, and everyone now is fully aware of what that translates into, so I won't go into that boring story. But yeah, so there's no magazine, but there's nothing. I mean, it's quite self-explanatory. There's no assembly required apart from the base, which just clicks together, and then you stick the Yosemite on the top. Fun fact about me being rubbish: I always used to. I remember watching. I can't remember what it was, but I remember watching something that had this in it, and I always used to mispronounce it. And I can't remember how I was going to tell you how I mispronounced it, and I can't remember. I can't believe it, because I've been so concentrating on saying Yosemite. I think it must be Yosemite. I must have used to think it was Yosemite. And maybe, deep down somewhere in another reality, I am completely correct and everyone else is wrong. But for now, I fully accept that that's not likely, so I'll move on. So this is a lovely, previously unreleased ship. Master Replicas in the UK have acquired as any of you who follow my videos will know, have acquired stock for Eaglemoss and Hero Collector and are in the throes of getting it out into the world. And I was lucky enough to be able to pick this up. I think they still have some units of this left, so head on over to Master Replicas if you are thinking this does deserve a slot on your shelf. You may equally have had a look at it and gone, actually, no, that's not for me, the animation style, I don't really like it, it's not my cup of Earl Grey hot, which is fair enough, that's absolutely fine. But either way, I hope you found this little tour of the model helpful and useful. As I said, I do like the detailing. There's no overkill on the detailing. They haven't gone mad. There's not a lot of additional detailing on all of the surfaces. It is literally almost like inked pen lines that we're getting in terms of the paneling, apart from the nice animated color scheme, which I think really pops and it really brings it to life, considering it would in the Star Trek universe. It is just a two-dimensional construct, so I really like it. I've liked all of the lower deck stuff so far. So I'm hoping they'll find some more unreleased stuff. I had no idea this was coming. Anyway, thank you so much for spending the last 11 or 12 minutes with me. You've been a fantastic audience. I've been the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and this has been the Eaglemoss Hero Collector Shuttlecraft Yosemite from Star Trek Lower Decks. As I say, if you are interested, check out Master Replica's website, follow them on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and also check out my posts on Instagram at Time Travelling Toy Collector. Just stick it in the search engine and you will find me. Do please, as I mentioned, like the video. If you can subscribe, that would be amazing. Thanks again for giving up some of your time to watch this evening, or whenever it is you may be watching it, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. So whilst I beam up for my weekend away, I'll leave you with one thought, and that is that a thing of beauty truly is a toy forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.